a bunch of the previous recent Marvel projects have all been pretty either mid or pretty bad. We got Loki season 2, one of the worst things I've ever seen. We've got What If season 2, probably the worst thing that Marvel has ever put out potentially. We had The Marvels, maybe their worst Marvel movie ever made, the most boring. You know, there's been quite a few disappointments lately in the Marvel universe, but a Deadpool movie has never disappointed me. The first one was fantastic, but I was a lot younger back then. The action was great, and the fourth wall breaking and just Deadpool as a character was kind of fun. Then we had Deadpool 2, which I don't remember that much of it. This had a lot more character stuff, relationship stuff. I remember it being more emotional, which was more interesting. I think the action was also good, but I don't remember too much action-wise. The plot was a bit more complicated and a lot more going on, and it wasn't as simple as a movie as the first one, which is kind of what I appreciate that first one for. And the second one was kind of, it was a big departure from the first one, but I did generally like it quite a bit. It was a good movie. So going into this, I was like, you know what? At least the last two movies have at least been 3 out of 5s, okay? They've been pretty good at the least. There's no way a Deadpool movie is going to be, like, you know, terrible at least. And I watched that trailer that one time on stream, and it looked pretty good. I was excited. They used that, like, music, the song, whatever that song is, it was really good. And they were, like, walking slow motion, which was literally a scene in the movie, like, with the same music, and they were doing the same slow motion. I was like, wow, I can't believe they just cut out a scene and put it in the trailer. But anyway, so I was going into this Deadpool and Wolverine what I was expecting. Also, I like the X-Men movies, okay? I liked Logan. Logan was fantastic. 5 out of 5. One of the best superhero movies ever. And Wolverine is, like, kind of cool. So this movie opens with a really fun scene. I love the opening scene of this movie. It's basically Deadpool goes, it's at the end of Logan. He's giving like narration. He goes to Logan's grave and he starts digging it up and he's like, oh, we're gonna, you know, dig up this person that we need, blah, 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 whatever. It's like making fun of the fact that you wouldn't disrespect Wolverine like this, and then they dig it up and it's funny. And then the TVA arrives and Deadpool is like dancing and beating up the TVA really easily, and he's doing really cool, like, I don't know, dancing slash choreography slash action kind of stuff, and it's really cool. And it has like cool music. I don't actually remember what song it was. It was like, I think it was like a Backstreet Boys thing, or maybe not, but it was really good and I was into it. I was like, this is fantastic. This is going to be like the best Deadpool movie. And it turned out that that was the best scene in the movie, and it was all downhill from there. And I was like, man, okay. So I guess they just put their best foot forward and then put their worst foot behind, or whatever the expression is. So I was incredibly disappointed after that. Overall, it would be like my general take is that it was okay. You know, it wasn't terrible. There was not much that I really liked that much about it. I would not watch it again. There's probably certain scenes that I would watch again. There were some good moments in it, but generally it was and I wrote here in my notes, it was a meandering movie that felt like a bunch of loosely stringed together, empty feeling fight scenes that felt like action for the sake of action. So that's my general take on Deadpool. The driving plot was like, I mean, the driving plot has never been like a central focus of Deadpool, right? But it was incredibly weak. It's basically like the whole movie is them spending time in the void world or whatever, like that Loki thing where if you get erased from the timeline, they sent you into where Eliath is and you can get erased from time or whatever. Like, we're just exploring that world, and we're getting like, it's basically just a multiverse movie where you have a bunch of different characters all in this one location, and we're just like traveling in this void world. And the mission is to like get back and somehow ambiguously, like, we're gonna save my universe and your universe and blah blah blah. It's like, I don't know, it's a very simple, pretty weak storyline. It pretty much is the whole appeal of this movie is either you like the action, the comedy, and the cameos, and if you don't like, say, like 2 of those, then you're probably gonna not have a good time. If you do like 2 of those, you're probably gonna have a really good time. I didn't really like the comedy. I didn't really like the action. Some of the cameos were really good, so I was kind of glad about that. I guess one other overall note I actually have is, I think it was at least refreshing, the fact that we don't, like, we see the characters from the previous movies right at the beginning. And I'm like, oh my god, okay, I don't really care about these characters that much. You know, we did our big character movie last time. Let's just, like, step away and do something else. And then we do. And we're like, okay, so we're not going to actually spend time with those characters. It's literally going to be a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Those are the 2 main characters. And then we're going to introduce, like, a bunch of new characters that we're going to, like, follow and care about and all that. So I like that. It was a bit refreshing in that regard. And refreshingness is a valuable commodity these days. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, those are my general overall thoughts. So I don't know. Let's see if anyone typed anything. I kind of miss why the other Deadpools were fighting them seemed kind of pointless. I don't know. I think to me, the action was like, just, we're going to fight now. And which is fine. Like if the action is really good, then I don't care at all. Like, one bit. Like, I don't remember the point behind any of the fight scenes. Like, I guess people were chasing Deadpool in the first one on the bridge, and that was like what was good about it, but I don't care. If it's cool fighting, then I like it. The fighting was just not for me. There was like no moment in a fight where I'm like, well, that was like really cool. But maybe it's because all the other Deadpool movies also have good fighting, and it's like, it's been overdone so much that now it just feels like, oh, this is like an average Deadpool thing, and they kept repeating it. It was a bit hard to follow. The camera was like a bit shaky. Well, not shaky. It was like it was moving too fast, and I don't know. There were some cool bits, but I don't know, nothing really stood out. Now, the action was good. The opening scene is so sick. I agree. The action and the opening scene, or the action in the opening scene and just the opening scene itself was all really good, and it was the best part of the movie. So I agree with that. I wish this movie was bigger scale. It should have been twice as long. I don't know. I could imagine a bigger scale movie and it being more interesting, but I don't know. To me, yeah, I don't know. I genuinely agree, but it could have just been, who knows? There's a lot more problems than the scale in this movie for me, I guess. The Madonna song. Oh, was it a Madonna song? Yeah, the one. Yeah, it was a Madonna song, right? In the trailer, they did the exact same thing. Now I've got to see this movie. True. They play a lot of like well-known songs, or at least enough where I'm like, oh, I recognize this song. Oh my god, I recognize this song. Crazy. It's a film about redemption. Elite RE. Yeah, it is. And also, I guess we'll get to it in my thing here when I catch up on chat. But I think the redemption elements were kind of interesting. I like how we never see the payoff to the Thor thing. It makes this shit feel planned out. That is true. I just figured that was a gag and we're just never going to see it. But that would be kind of cool if it does actually happen in a later movie. I guess for reference, anyone, there's a scene in this when they go to the TVA, which is like the Time Variance Authority. You know, I'm a genius of the MCU stuff, which is a Loki season 1 and 2 thing. On a TV, like Deadpool sees, I think he's dying or something, or he's lying down and Thor is like crying over his body or something. And he's like, what was that? And then we never find out in the movie. It's like, oh, are they going to show that one day? But probably not. I would have at least liked to learn why the TVA wanted to recruit him initially, but I'm sure we'll learn in the next Avengers film. I don't think there is a grander plan when it comes to the TVA. To me, it felt very incohesive. That's probably not a word, but Loki season 2 did not feel like there was any tie into this whatsoever. It felt like they just had like very rough ideas between the two teams, and they were like, so at the end of Loki season 2, like the timeline is like kind of restored, but it's like kind of not. And you know, we got this like the agent whatever is in charge and she's like important, and it didn't feel like there was any kind of crossover really beyond like the very high level things. Even the TVA just, it felt like a completely different place, because clearly we're following in this movie as like a rogue kind of squad of the TVA, which is like they're going against the TVA or whatever. And so it's like this just doesn't feel cohesive at all. So in that regard, it felt like a complete failure to me. I was like, I was excited to see the TVA, and it just felt like it didn't feel like the TVA at all, I guess. But I don't know, maybe that's Loki season 2's problem, or it could just be a problem with like maybe Kang was initially going to be in this, but like he had that recast, or not recast, like removing or something. I don't know. Also was worried the whole time they'd contradict Loki, but it lined up well. I mean, I don't know if it lined up. I think it happened to line up well. I think that this could have taken place during Loki season 1, and the only difference would be that instead of having Agent whatever in charge of the TVA, you'd have the whoever, I don't even remember what her name was, but the other lady in charge, and it'd be like, oh, so it's like the same thing. So I don't know. Then there was like a superficial thing, which is like when reality was like stringing apart, it like looked the same, but it's like that's done way in post, and like that could be they could have even done that effect after Loki season 2 was done. So I don't feel like in the planning of this movie that it felt like there was no overlap. So yeah. Well, the TVA made it sound like they were recruiting Deadpool to stop a threat or something. We'll find out for sure later. God, I don't remember. This guy was a rogue agent. He wanted Deadpool for why did he want Deadpool? He wanted to accelerate the decay of the timeline because that's like his job. He wanted Deadpool. I just can't remember. I'd have to watch it again, but nothing. It didn't really stand out to me, the reasoning or anything. Remember Aaron's son? True, Aaron's son Coulson. True. Do you think it's good enough for someone with superhero fatigue? If you like Deadpool comedy, you're definitely gonna like this. Like they make fun of the fact that like superhero fatigue is a thing. So I don't know. It depends how much you like irony and jokes, and I mean, there's a lot to like. It's very different. It's not like the typical MCU formula or anything. It's quite a different movie. I think if you were a really big fan of like the last Deadpool movie, then you'll probably also like this, I guess. Like if you thought the other one was like a 5 out of 5, maybe you think it's like a 4 out of 5, like a 3 out of 5. I don't know. He's like, you're special, Deadpool. We need you in 616. I also didn't understand this. So like in the beginning of the movie, there was a scene where Deadpool is like applying for a job and is in like, it says like universe 616 or something, and then he like gets rejected, and then the next scene we like cut to like universe 10,000 or 10,000 or something, like it's some weird number, and unless I'm missing something, which I'm sure Miller will fill me in here, I feel like we just never went back to the 616 thing, and I was like, what? Why did we, like, as a very casual observer of this movie who wasn't like too invested in all this big high level lore stuff, why was there like 2 different worlds, and did they ever say anything in the movie and I just missed it? But yeah, he's like, you're special, Deadpool. We need you in 616. So I guess it was just unexplained, which was weird to me. I don't know. But who cares, okay? I guess we'll see what happens in the future. But let's see, what other notes do I have? I said the movie had a bunch of cameos, a mix of good and bad. I said the good ones are the Johnny Storm one, which was sick. Elektra, Gambit, and Blade all walking in. That was sick. We got like this, it was cool. There was like a slow motion scene where they're all like walking in over dramatically, and it's like, oh my god, who's gonna be next? And like, I think the first one's Elektra, and the next one is like Blade, and then it's Gambit. It's like, oh my god, it's Gambit. And then there is one weird thing in the cameos here, which is that they save X-23, I don't know what her name is, like the young Wolverine girl from Logan. They save her for like the final one. It's like, oh, there's one more of us. And then she shows up and it's meant to be like a big deal, but she doesn't say much. And it feels like she was kind of like always in the background, or even if it felt like she wasn't there for the filming or something. It was a bit weird. Her like presence in this movie just felt so weird. Like if I didn't know any better, and I actually don't know any better, so this could be the case, I just assumed that like she wasn't available to shoot the movie. Or maybe, actually, this is probably what, if I didn't know any better, I would say that, oh my god, maybe, because she was a little girl in Logan, maybe she like stopped doing acting or something and she's like not an actor anymore. But obviously she was in The Acolyte, which came out this year, so like she's clearly still an actor, but it's just so weird. It's like, was she not available in the day or something? Because she was hardly in it. She hardly spoke. It was just so weird to me. So I don't know. Or maybe it was like an addition, like maybe in a rewrite, they like added her and it's like, oh, now that we know she's got like her schedule available, we can add her in. It just felt so weird to me. So, yep. The comedy was hit or miss, similar to any other Marvel movie. That's true. I already ranted about this, but the disgusting, ugly, disgusting, gross dog, I hate it. Hate every scene with it. We hate it. We hate dogs in this stream, okay? But the psychic Charles Xavier sister, they made some joke about the gender and I didn't quite hear the joke, so I don't know if it is a sister or not. I don't know. But that was cool. Oh my god, ripping the skin off Johnny Storm, that was sick. Their powers were pretty cool. I like their performance. I like their physicality, I guess, the way they looked. A cool power of like sticking your hand in people and seeing the like cool effect. I mean, I don't know, it was kind of a cool character. My only last note here, besides saying that the post-credit montage of the footage was cute, seeing the behind the scenes for all the X-Men movies, that was really cute. But the final thing, which I think is like, this could have been a really good movie if this landed, I guess, which is, I think Wolverine does a very good job of being very genuine in an otherwise very comedic and non-genuine movie. Basically, all the scenes where he's very serious and he is the focus of the scene and he's talking about like wanting to be a hero and he's like wearing the suits and all that stuff is really good. And the actor does a really good job. Like those are the highlights of like where I feel like this could have actually been a really good movie if the build-up had kind of been good enough and you kind of felt it a little bit and there was like more focus on Wolverine. I guess it would have been really good, but it didn't land quite right. I guess the one example I think of is when they've got the psychic lady and she's wearing the helmet and Deadpool's like gonna kill her and Wolverine is like, no, not while I'm wearing this suit. I'm not gonna let anyone die and blah, blah, blah. And it's like a really genuine moment and it could have been, you could have ended that scene with a very comedic moment of like maybe Deadpool just kills her anyway, or Deadpool makes fun of the fact that he's being genuine in this moment, but they play it very straight and Wolverine is like serious about like, I want to redeem myself. I don't want to be remembered as this terrible person. And he's wearing like the goofy kind of suit and it's like, oh, that's cute. You know, I just wish that they, like in moments like that, you should kind of be feeling the emotions of like, man, this poor guy. But I don't feel it in that moment because I think the movie just didn't build up enough to that point. Or at least it didn't connect with me up to that point. And the other example is when the two of them come at the end of the movie and they're trying to grab the two sides and like they're gonna die. And when Wolverine or Deadpool's trying to reach both sides and he can't, and then Wolverine comes in and grabs the other side and they're like holding hands and it's like, oh my god, they're gonna sacrifice each other and they're both like being genuine here and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. But it just didn't land because I'm like, you know what? I feel like I just met this character. I feel like we barely got any of him and yeah. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Deadpool.